Alright guys, welcome back to KSP. I'm gonna speed through pretty much all this. You see me loading this ship. It's a pre-made ship that I had built to resupply the station with monopropellant. That's why you see all those little round balls on the side, obviously. What I'm doing is I'm kind of faffing around with it a little bit because it couldn't quite make it into orbit. It appears I needed to add a little bit more power. So I was actually looking for, if you look on the left hand column, it's the fifth one down. I'll notice it here in a second. I was actually looking for those engines because they're actual rocket engines. That one. And I wanted to put those on there to kind of give it a little bit of extra oomph. And it worked out. So I just see, for you guys, all this stuff goes really, really quickly. For me, this takes hours and hours. Like, I mean, this whole mission took probably about, probably about an hour and a half just to do this. And that's one of the reasons why I'm speeding through it, and I've cut this video down to like 6 minutes because I've sliced a whole bunch of stuff out and didn't do all the boring stuff that you guys are so used to seeing me do. But if you've seen it once in KSP, you've seen it, you've seen one rocket launch, you've seen 100 rocket launches, especially if they're successful. Now, if you've seen failures, now that's that's completely different. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I got that monopropellant up there because I'm gonna need that for when I go to the moon. So basically, this is just another quick prep video. I was actually going to go to the moon, but like I said, when I went over to the station, I realized that nothing had monopropellant. I mean, the station had monopropellant, but not enough to refill all the tanks. So that's kind of what I'm doing, is I'm refilling the monopropellant tanks using this little rocket probe, I guess you could say, to deliver monopropellant to the station. You'll notice that I cut a few times, and that's because I was just basically, the reason I cut was because you'll notice that I'm going into orbit and I have to get the station to catch up with me and all that, and that takes 90% of the time is waiting for this thing to catch up. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut straight to, I mean, I'll get everything set up so you guys can see me getting everything set up, and then I'll cut to the actual rendezvous portion of it here in about a few seconds. I should also point out that something went horribly wrong when I was doing this. I forgot to apply power or extra power to the little spaceship, and it nearly collided with the station. You see it coming in there probably about, I think it was like 400 meters away or something like that, when the sun finally came up and the solar panels activated. Yeah, that's because it basically had just like drifted past the station. And it was terrible, like absolutely terrible. Like, I mean, it was very terrifying. I was praying so hard that I had just like even the slightest drift off to the left. I mean, even just the slightest drift would have been enough, and it just barely grazed past the lab section, which was like, oh man, I was like, I can't. That was way too stressful. Right, realizing that I forgot to put battery packs on this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all this stuff transferred over, and I'll do that off camera because, all that's really rather boring. Also, have I mentioned how much I love the new computer system? Because what you see me doing here is I'm actually lining up the docking ports at both ends of the ship. To do that, normally you'd have to use the docking UI and all that. Well, I found that if I use the computer and tell the computer to face the target and then select the docking port as the target, the computer will constantly turn the ship towards that docking port. So all I have to do is just get it on a level XY axis and gently go in for it, you know, like you see me doing. I mean, it's still off a little bit, but that's basically what you see me doing here, is just waiting until the ship is pretty much almost lined up with the station in such a manner that I can dock easily. So next time, guys, I promise I'm gonna go to the moon, but I'll let this little section here kind of be my showcase of how this station is actually kind of working the way I want to. So guys, it's been fun. I am definitely gonna go to the moon next time, and to that I'm gonna say sayonara.